This is Naija Unfiltered on SYMFONI TV. My name is Olawale Oluwade, and my guest this afternoon is Alhaji Sani Umar, former special advisor to the President, Goodluck Jonathan administration on media and publicity in the office of the Vice President Architect Namadi Sambo. He is also a public affairs analyst and a PDP chieftain. Alhaji Sani, you're welcome to the show.
Oluwade, how are you?
I'm doing very well.
Yes, I can see that. You are looking very fresh.
I'm doing very well in the circumstance. In the circumstance of Nigeria that we find ourselves.
So it is in parentheses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because this one we can't say inverted commas.
Exactly. You're welcome. Let's get right into our conversation today. And let's begin where we should. There's a raging scandal that is going on concerning a certain Prince Adeniyi, and then involving the Chief of Staff to the President of the Federal Republic, Mr. Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. A brief backgrounder. This Prince Adeniyi claims to have gotten a letter of appointment as Director General of the Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, and he accused the Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, of collecting 400 million naira upfront payments to get that job, and an outstanding 200 naira yet to be paid. But swiftly, the Chief of Staff, has come out to deny the existence of such an agency, nor any contact or relationship between himself and the individual. And not only that, just yesterday, the media advisor to the President, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, came out strongly on behalf of Mr. Gbajabiamila and the presidency to distance themselves from this individual, calling him outrightly a con man who has a long history of being a fraudster and all of this. How does this entire scandal, how does it appear to you? What's your reading of it?
Well, when I saw the text of his Prince Adeniyi's press conference, I took it upon myself to ask some pertinent questions, and I wrote a piece on my Twitter handle, and I got quite a lot of following, and a lot of liftings, and a lot of reposting. My candid opinion is that matter cannot be swept under the bridge only on the allegation that the man is a con man. He has raised fundamental issues where common sense is supposed to be at play. I will give you, very important issues which he raised in that his press conference. Number one, he had to pay 400 million, and then with the promise to pay the balance of 200 million. Again, he has to forfeit his takeoff grant, which is 48% of the takeoff grant, which is about 27-point-something billion. And about 1.3 billion has been earmarked on pages 50 to 51 of the 2026 Appropriation Act. Again, accounts have been opened with the CBN, including domiciliary accounts of both dollars and pound sterling. And he also alleged that attempts were made on his life, so that those evidences will be wiped out. Before now, we have had some tales that these things are happening, but we could not pin our hands on hard evidence. Now, the man raised also another question, which is a natural psychological question. He said, if the presidency has nothing to do about this matter, it is not Gbajabiamila that will issue a statement, which is correct. It is Bayo Ononuga, Sunday Dare, or any other presidential media aide that should issue a statement. So Gbajabiamila quickly issued that statement because he felt guilty and he wanted to absolve himself from any blame. Now, the coming out of Bayo Ononuga at this time to issue another statement is just a collaboration within the villa, which we know. I have worked in the villa. There is a collaboration. He will call Bayo Ononuga, please help me. Let us get out of this mess. You know, we are going to put our boss in a mess. Let us just put something out and kill this matter. But the matter cannot go away because there are documentary evidence that suggests something is going on. The man says he has an approval from the head of service. He was given approval for 314 staff to work with him. And he has been given office at the Federal Secretariat. All these things cannot be manufactured. They are things that must have existed. Now, such agency is always a creation of the presidency because it is not in existence and it is not an MDA, a ministry, department, or agency of any government, of the government. So if it's a new creation, it can be created under the presidency, and the chief of staff can make such creation, write a memo to Mr. President, and get approval of Mr. President, and that's all. And then he can now dispatch. So I don't believe that the man is lying. I believe that with thorough investigation, we will get to the root of the matter. Now, we know that the president has a soft spot for Gbajabiamila. If you remember when there was this issue of this actor, Elliot. No,
Desmond Elliot, yes.
Desmond Elliot.
Desmond Elliot.
You know,
the Surulere
issue. You know, he came out to say that Mr. President had to call him into his chambers, you know, and caution him about what is happening. You know, he was trying to show how close he was with Mr. President. But that was also an admission that he has the ears of Mr. President. And so if he has the ears of Mr. President, you know, so many of the atrocities he has that are allegedly been linked to him, you know, when at a point in time, there were rumors that he was going to be removed by Mr. President before finally Mr. President came out to say he's not going to remove him. You know, those things suggest that there is something, there is an underlying something that is going on within the villa that Nigerians don't know. So I believe very strongly that an independent investigation, you know, that will involve civil society and other credible organizations should be set up so that, you know, the real background issue will be unearthed. But it is not sufficient. No amount of statements, press releases, or anything that can water down this allegation, except an independent investigation. That is the only thing that can water it down. But we can assure you that there are so many allegations against, you know, which of course have not been substantiated,
yes,
you know, against the chief of staff in terms of even, you know, his involvement in all monetary matters, you know, that has to do with the 2027 election, people have accused him of being the bagman, collecting money on behalf of the presidency, preparing for the 2027 election and so forth and so on. Being also part and parcel of the, 800 billion, or is it of the state governor's contribution?
Yes.
Even his hands were seen to be part and parcel. He's also been accused from several quarters that, some of the monies that are being given to state governors, which are extra budgetary approvals given to state governors, certain percentages are collected on behalf of the government, all in preparation for 2027 election. Now, if these allegations, are flying here and there, even though there are no substantive proof to them, the need for an independent investigation will clear the doubts in the minds of many. Otherwise, it will remain in the minds of people that something shady is going on in the villa, and that will not augur well for the government.
Alhaji, thank you for your opening remarks. But, we're talking about the presidency of Nigeria here.
Yes.
And I'm so glad I'm speaking with a man such as yourself, because you worked in that establishment.
Yes.
So you understand the weightiness of this entire situation.
Exactly.
Alhaji, can you explain to Nigerians, how is it? Because it is not just the presidency now, even though the allegation is being directed at the number one official of the president, the chief of staff.
No, he's not the number one.
Okay.
But because the chief of staff nomenclature is not in the constitution.
Yes.
So number one official of the president is the secretary to the government of the federation.
Okay. But I said that number one because that's the closest person to the president.
Yeah, of course.
Working directly with him,
yes.
Proximity.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing goes through or comes out of him without him,
yes.
without passing through him.
Exactly.
Correct me, sir, if I'm wrong.
No, it's like he is more or less like the principal staff officer to the president. So every documentation that comes out goes to him. He is the one that will distribute the documentation to respective places. So that definitely.
And other jobs that he does, very critical job or sensitive job that he also does.
Yes.
That's what I mean. Now, beyond that is that key institutions of the Nigerian state dropped the ball because the Central Bank of Nigeria was mentioned that this guy said he had accounts. He opened an account, like you said, domiciliary account, dollars and pounds at the Central Bank of Nigeria. How could a fictitious organization achieve that? The National Assembly. This guy has been interfacing with National Assembly because a budget was passed, a budget 2026 appropriation bill was passed by both concurrently by the House of Reps and the Senate. And then he went to the president for assent and it was assented to. 1.3 billion naira was earmarked for this so-called fictitious agency. Secretary of Government of Federation, played a role. Head of service played a role in the deployment of personnel. Office was given to this individual. Accountant General, I could go on and on. Security agencies. Can you explain to us how is this possible for one? Because the impression being created by Mr. Gbajabiamila and Bayo Nanuga is that this guy is has a global network of con men who pull this off. I don't understand, sir. How is this possible?
No, that's not possible. It is an indictment on the federal government of Nigeria if they begin to they continue to send this narrative. This narrative is playing on the intelligence of Nigerians. It is absolutely not possible. They even brought something that he was looking for a note verbal.
Yes, to procure visas.
To procure visas.
Yes.
From the Foreign Affairs Ministry. You can't go looking for note verbal if you are not an official of the government. Again, they said, the office of the SGF was asking questions about the existence of that same this thing. why would the office of the SGF be even making such inquiry?
Who issues the letter in the first place, Alhaji? Letter of appointment?
The letter of appointment ought to have been issued by the secretary to the government of the federation. But, in extreme cases where you have, if you are very friendly with the office, the chief of staff can issue a letter and it will stand. Because, the SGF will not query it, and he will not even go to Mr. President and say, somebody, SGF is trying to take over my job by issuing a letter of appointment.
That chief of staff is trying to take my job.
Yeah, the chief of staff is trying to take my job, by issuing a letter of appointment. No. These are cooperations that normally take place within the organization. So it is totally, misplaced for anybody to say that that the man is well connected, he has a bigger organization, criminal organization that can pull this off. This is not the 19th century where somebody will sell a non-existent airport
to a Brazilian bank.
To a Brazilian bank. This is not the period. In this period, we are in a period where there are so many checks and balances. This place checks this one checks this one. So it cannot go just unnoticed, by anybody. It cannot pass the budgetary processes and for it to be in our appropriation acts.
It became a law.
Yeah, it became a law. And then you are saying it's fake. How can that be fake? Has he gone to bribe all the lawmakers, for them not to see it? Nobody mentioned it. Nobody suspected anything. That's not possible. So I can confirm to you that all these are attempts for a cover-up. But the best thing that should be done is a proper investigative panel that should look at these things, examine all the issues. Let the man come before the panel. He said one of the other persons that they were together with died mysteriously, under fire at an Otako hotel, and that he also suffered,
assassination
attempt on his way to Kaduna, and his phones and some of his valuables were taken away. These are very grievous allegations that press release or press statements are not sufficient to put that thing behind us. So, as all reasonable Nigerians have started saying, the presidential candidate of ADC has made a mention of it, and some other, very important Nigerians. They have said, okay, please come out and let Tinubu, set up a panel to investigate this. Otherwise, it's a very serious issue. It's a very serious sleaze allegation, And the other issues I raised over to you will now, by extrapolation, be confirmed as those are the issues. These are the trademark of the presidency. If he had succeeded, perhaps, if the man had agreed that he's going to give the 48%, perhaps we may not even know. We will just see an agency. And then we will now start shouting, Yoruba, Ronu, they have done Yoruba again. They don't know, the allegation that it's a Yoruba government is now turning out to be that even the Yoruba people pay money to be in a position. So it is not even about, the love of the Yoruba people. It is about the love of money. And so these are the issues that will come into play. So for people who have been making noise that this is a Yoruba government and Yoruba, all appointments are made to Yoruba, perhaps this one is now trying to clarify that it is not about the Yorubas. If the Yorubas are excited that Tinubu is appointing them, it is not about the Yoruba. It is about the money involved. Unless you agree to part with money before you can now be employed.
Alhaji, let's of course state for the sake of public indemnity that all of these are still in the realm of allegations.
Of course, even
they're all innocent until proven
even
guilty.
his press statement are mere allegations.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but we are analyzing those
Absolutely.
allegations.
Absolutely.
And in analyzing those allegations, we are bringing out the fundamental
facts.
Yes, the fundamental issues
Yes.
involved in that allegation. That is why we are calling for an independent investigation. If it is a concluded fact or it is a court judgment, we will not have been talking like this.
My question, Alhaji, following up to your previous statements, is that as a media person, anchor here, when I was at AIT, the same thing. I know what it takes to get guests to come to this show. I know what it takes to get, especially politicians, highly exposed persons. It's almost impossible. You have to introduce yourself. You have to send them videos. I mean, they know this, they know AIT, but you have to try and convince them of your bona fides. I saw this gentleman, this Prince Adeniyi, in a picture with the deputy speaker, Benjamin Kalu. Sir, I saw him in a picture with the EFCC chairman. That's the one that really, shocked me. Because I'm wondering, and I'm going somewhere with the fact that if this guy is a con artist, because I would expect it to take someone high up there making a soft landing for him with the order to say, yeah, this person is from me, give him attention or give him audience. So, is Mr. Bayo Onanuga in any way, is there any believability in that press release by Mr. Bayo Onanuga? Or like you said, are we just being taken for fools?
You see,
do you get CSA? Do you get CBN accounts without?
You see, Mr. Bayo Onanuga is a willing tool to be used, provided that there is an issue that has to do with saving the integrity, of the Tinubu administration. He's willing to do anything.
Damage control.
Yes, to do damage control. Just recently, his interviews have even shown, where he said he cannot see any hunger. And when issues were raised about, some of the fundamental economic indices, he normally quotes only his village, because his mind rotates around his village. So he has no experience anywhere else other than his village. And he also says they give them food, they give them this, they give them that. If you are privileged to be in government and you are giving your village people food, is it are you talking about 230 million Nigerians? How many people are in your village? But having said that, I will tell you that I don't think any reasonable Nigerian will believe what Mr. Bayo Onanuga issued as a statement. It is merely, a damage control. And I believe that by the time this thing is subjected to forensic analysis, that statement will even be thrown away. But for the time being, he issued that statement as an afterthought. I say as an afterthought because the man himself, Prince Adeniyi, said, why is it that it is Gbajabiamila that is issuing a statement? Why is it not Bayo Onanuga or the rest? And so as an afterthought, they felt, okay, yes, there is a need for Bayo Onanuga to issue a statement. And so Bayo Onanuga, basking in that euphoria, perhaps the president knows or he doesn't even know. Either way, if the president knows, he will call them and say, go and sort this thing out. Remove me inside this matter and sort this thing out. If he doesn't know, they can say, okay, please, how do we save our faces in this matter? So please, this is what I want you to do, Bayo. And Bayo is a willing tool. He will do it because, not because of Gbajabiamila, but because of his principle. doesn't want his principal's name to be drawn into a scandal, a national scandal for that matter. So I don't blame Bayo Ononuga for issuing that statement, but he should also know that Nigerians are not fools. We know that that statement was not, directed by Mr. President. In fact, Mr. President cannot direct a statement where other organizations will be quoted in that statement. That office of the SSG wondered, the Foreign Affairs Ministry wondered. It can never happen. That statement can never come from the office of the president. When you are reporting the president, you report directly. Mr. President said this, he said that, he said that, he said this, he said that. You don't report that you queried this, that statement is full of errors, So I believe that with the benefit of hindsight, if a proper investigation is carried out, the real truth will be unearthed. And I don't see Mr. Adeniyi, he may have lied in some areas. I don't know. But I don't believe that everything that he has said is a lie, because some of them are backed by documentary evidence. And so if what you are saying is backed by documentary evidence, perhaps the studies surrounding the documentation of the evidence may be the issue. So that is the real story we want to know. Yeah? Perhaps what he is saying and how the thing happened may not be how it happened. But to come out completely and deny that the thing is fake, it didn't happen, that is why we are not in agreement with the president.
Because Gbajabiamila said completely that agency does not even exist,
no.
that it is fiction.
Yes, of course, does not exist. The reason why it does not exist, because it has not been given life. One, the budget of that agency has not been released. It is only on paper.
Yes.
It is in the budget,
yes,
but there is no release.
Yes.
The takeoff grant, which is supposed to allow the agency to start operations, has not been provided. It is one of the contending issues, the takeoff grant. You have to give 48%. So in essence, the agency has not yet taken off, but it has a staff strength. He has a letter from the head of service deploying 314 work staff. Whether that letter exists or not is also a question for investigation. Again, he has a letter appointing him by the chief of staff. Is that letter appointing him by the chief, is it a fake signature, or is it the chief of staff signature? A forensic examination will prove all these things. So the issue should not only revolve around a press statement. It should be an issue of, forensic investigation. And I believe that with an investigation, the truth will come out.
Alhaji, we're not just talking about a case of forgery and budget insertions. We've had cases of budget insertions. We have a bad history of budget insertions, National Assembly, executive, and all of those, This is not just a case of misrepresentation.
No, it has nothing to do with budget padding.
Beyond all of this is that there is an allegation of murder.
Yes.
And attempted murder.
Yes.
Because this Mr. Prince Adeniyi said they go between himself and the chief of staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, to whom he gave the 400 million naira, who also got his letter and all of those. That when he was arrested last year and he reported it, the police arrested him, and he made a statement that, yes, this middleman exists. And the police went to arrest the middleman. By the time they got to the hotel, the middleman had died in under a strange circumstance.
Yes.
Beyond that, himself, Prince Adeniyi, on his way to Kaduna, or maybe coming from Kaduna, either whichever one, there was an attempt on his life.
Yes.
The vehicle, there was maybe some assault or whatever.
Yes.
The documents, the laptops, phones, were taken away. Of course, if you have an accident like I've had before, your stuff will be there. People will come rally around you. In his own case, everything that will have evidence of communication, they were all taken away. What does this say? Because I'm thinking Nollywood cannot do this script. This is in the realm of international, like Hollywood, because this is a classical spy, movie, crime movie, espionage. What is going on? Can you speak to this?
Well, if all these things he has said
yes,
are true, then it points to one thing. There is an attempt to cover up.
yes,
In fact, the matter is not even expected to come into public
realm at all.
In the realm of public knowledge, but it has now come out, and the public is asking very hard questions, and the public wants to know the truth, and the public believes that there is an endemic corruption attempt under these allegations, and they ought to be investigated and the truth be established. And to me, I believe that even the terms of reference of the investigating panel, if set up, should not only stand at this matter. It should go to examine whether such things have been done previously. Like I told you on the third fund issue, whether those issues exist or that they are just rumors circulating. So if they really exist, we will know. If it is merely rumors, it clarifies everything, and then it puts everything, we put everything behind us, and then we move on. But press statements are not sufficient. They are not enough. Like I said, attempt, if the other go-between is dead, and attempts were made on his life, he had some assaulted, but God preserved him. Perhaps God preserved him for him to come out and tell us some of the scandals that we don't even know that is going on within the presidency and under the able, eagle eye of the Chief of Staff to Mr. President. I don't think the Chief of Staff needs to bother himself by trying to, flog this matter in the media. It's not a media thing. It is a matter that ought to be, investigated. Coming out to the media or bringing out the media people of the president to come and, debunk the story and to say the organization does not exist, or it's not the issue at the moment. We have already gone past that one. What we are now looking at is what will the government, if you are accused of any offense, you go to the person goes to court or the other person goes to, but this is government. When government is accused, if you can't go to court to sue Gbajabiamila because he is acting on behalf of somebody, he is acting on behalf of the federal government of the federation. He is acting under the orders of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So you are going to sue the president. When you sue the president in court, these are the issues you are going to likely bring. But if you are going to bring them, these are agencies that are within the government. They will not cooperate with the court order. But if it is an independent investigation, the independent investigation can go to CBN and say, explain to us how this account was opened. They will go to head of service. Did you order this thing? Who gave you the order to give this man 314 members of staff? They will go to SGF. Did you issue any letter? Or what do you know about this appointment? All these things, they will go round and find out. And then they will go to police and say, okay, police, was there an issue like this before you before? And that you made an attempt to go and, to arrest somebody, and then you went and found that he was dead in a hotel room. And all these things will be brought out clearly. They will form the prima facie evidence for.
Maybe also get involved with the telecom provider.
Yes.
Of this man.
Yes.
Whether the phone is lost or not, they can get the number from MTN, check all his call logs.
Exactly.
All his SMSs and everything.
Yes. So all these things can be brought out clearly. So there is no cause for alarm as it is now. In fact, let me be very sincere with you. I believe that the man came out to speak to preserve his life. Because now he is in the eye of the storm. And every Nigerian is looking at him. Anything that happens to him, we know that something is amiss. So nothing will happen to him. So government is now on fire. So government has to come out.
So his silence would have enabled him, if it was possible or if it is true.
Yes.
He would have been silenced.
He would have been eliminated.
Eliminated.
Yes, since.
So by coming out now.
By coming out now, he has burst the bubble. No, having now burst the bubble, it is very clear, that his life, even if it is threatened, is now preserved. Because the public outcry is now suggesting investigation. And if he had already made a claim that somebody was killed in the matter, and then his life now is also touched, then the public will know, yes, that the matter is true. It's a total cover-up. Now he can be arrested. He cannot even be sleeping well anyway, as it is now. But again, he should be confident, that he should be under some protection.
This entire situation, Alhaji, what does this say about and the approach of the presidency now? Especially that Bayo Onanuga came out to issue the statement he issued. Rather than, because you're an inside person, you've been in the presidency, you know how the system works. What does this say about the integrity of this present presidency? What does this say?
This presidency is not a listening one. Once a presidency is not a listening one, it doesn't care. Whatever they want to do, that is what they do. Even in terms of, a lot of people have been shouting that there is no opposition. Opposition are not putting them, under checks. But the issue is, we have never seen this type of politics in Nigeria. From the First Republic up to now, we have never seen this type of politics, where the presidency will be interfering in all political parties. So people are fighting for their survival. What time do they have to play opposition? You have almost all the political parties are in problem. Is it the PDP? Is it the ADC? Is it the NDC? Is it the NMPP? Is it PRP? Even SDP. Every political party, is it Accord? If you are not fighting for your survival, you are fighting to stop your extinction. Some people have been taken to court so that the party will be deregistered. Some people have been taken to court so that the ESCO in this one is not the correct ESCO. This is the correct ESCO. These are all the issues. So you are fighting an internal battle, trying to survive as a political party, and then people are now there shouting the opposition is not united. No, the opposition cannot be united under the current circumstance. And the most painful thing is that all tiers of government are involved. The life wire of any country is the judiciary. One of the strongest points of India is that they have, a judiciary that is independent, and the judiciary delivers in terms of, judgments. We have seen even the judiciary in Africa. Is it not in Kenya that a sitting president, his election was nullified? Has it ever happened in Nigeria? It can never happen. Is it not in Malawi that a sitting president election was nullified? The judiciary is the backbone, but our judiciary is complicit. And the reason why they were complicit is immediately this administration came into being. Apart from increasing the salaries of judges by 100%, when other people were shouting, increase our salary, judges' salaries were increased by 100%, and the monies that they were not even looking for was given to them. When they did that fuel subsidy, when he was sharing money to judiciary, to this, because he wants to grab them. There is very few of them now that are not afraid of the government. So they are always dishing out, judgments, in favor of the government. Even when you are at you are not too confident that you will go to the judiciary and get judgment, even when you know you are right, because the judgment may have some interference.
Let me ask you, Alhaji, one or two more before we tidy up on this and move on to something else. What should the president do? Or is it that the president is not aware of what is going on? Should Mr. Gbajabiamila, some are calling for him, like the presidential candidate of the ADC, VP Atiku Abubakar, has said the president should suspend Mr. Gbajabiamila, an independent probe should be instituted. What do you say?
Yes, that's the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do. It should be, because his presence will interfere with the investigation. If he is still there, he will be giving instructions. Please don't do this. Please, IG, don't do this. But if he is suspended, he has no powers. He cannot, authorize anybody to do anything. And so the investigating panel will be able to unearth this thing, explicitly for people to see, that, yes, this is the real situation of things. And I don't know whether the president knows or he doesn't know. For some time now, the papers have reported also that the president has not been out for about 2 weeks. So perhaps these things are happening behind his back. He's not even aware. And even if he's aware, it is they that are the ones that will tell him what's happening. And so if they have a connivance, all they are in the same league, then nothing will happen. Because in the villa, the media people play a very important role. I know that by 9 o'clock, I will have analyzed all the newspapers in Nigeria. Write a brief story on every issue that affects the government. Every issue. Even if somebody down there made a very minute comment and said this government is rubbish, I must bring it out and say on page so, there is somebody whose name is so, mentioned this. Or an association like this, they said this. You make a complete summary of everything and you take it to Mr. President or to Vice President. Then they will read it. They will be ticking. If they have read the first one, they'll tick. If there is one that they need you to respond, they will write, okay, respond to this, respond to this, respond to this. So the president ought to know everything that is going on in Nigeria every day, in the morning, first thing in the morning. But if they don't take it to him, how will he know? Except if it is a president who is very inquisitive or who is very curious, who has a phone, who can be looking at those information from the phone or
television.
Or TV, television, And televisions don't go reporting this type of issues too exclusively. They may report it like a a controversy has erupted within the press. Then he needs explanation from these same people. I saw this thing. What is happening? It is there that I will explain to him what is actually happening. So it's the version that they give him that he will take. So the president, more or less, is in a cage. And himself, at one point he said he has even stopped going to social media. So it is social media that will dissect these things, bring them out more clearly. But he said he has stopped going to social media, so he cannot see it. So he will rely on these people. So whether he knows or he doesn't know is an issue that one may not be able. But this is his administration. Anything that happens, the buck stops at his table. So he has to know. And it does not absolve him from blame if he even doesn't know, because he has all the instruments to insist that he must know.
Alhaji, how serious is this entire situation? How serious to national security, to the image of the president as a person? Because this is his, like you said, his own personal stuff, number one. How damaging is this to the...
I read somewhere that somebody wrote an article and said that what they are hearing is that Gbajabiamila's cup is now full, that he has been engaged in so many misdemeanors, and that the president has been covering him, but his cup is now full. But whether that story or that opinion is correct, I don't know. But if it has any element of truth in it, it means that the man has been engaging in nefarious activities for a very long time, and that the president is aware of it. So it's if the president is aware of it, it gives the impression that this administration, ab initio, is a corrupt administration, because there is the allegations of no budget, no subsisting budget, that the government is implementing 2024, 2025, 2026 budget at the same time. Budgetary provisions are not implemented, and blah blah, and that the things are selected. Those things are selected. And even when you hear that there is a council meeting and certain approvals have been given, you will see that the approvals are given merely for political purposes. These are not issues that were ever discussed. But now, because people are complaining, you have neglected our area, you will hear Meduguri to this, Sokoto to here. Just recently, about the day before yesterday, I read somewhere that, council has approved money for Badagry Sokoto Superhighway. These are political roads or projects that are meant to appease some other people. They are not originally the project of this administration. Perhaps they were projects started by the Buhari administration, but due to paucity of funds, the contractors have stopped work. Now, if they say they have approved, that means the contractor will go back to site. These are some of the issues that are consistently going on. So the administration is faced, with a lot of, issues, issues of credibility, issues of, making statements that at the end of the day, they don't come out to fruition. For instance, the issue of light, where he said, if I don't give you light, you can vote me out. But you can now hear some type of new defense coming out to say that is not what he meant. So these are some of the issues that the government is bedeviled with. So the credibility of the government is put to question. This is the government that will make an appointment today, and tomorrow they will change. Somebody will be excited he has been appointed. His name has even been announced, everything. And then another time, somebody in the morning and in the evening, he changed the appointment. again, he made an appointment in NTA. And in the evening, he now changed the appointment. So these are things that have been going on. It's not...
As we round up on this bit of the interview, talk on the role of the National Assembly, both the House of Representatives and the Senate. How did they fare in this entire... Because they are meant to have checked this whole thing.
You know, I don't want to belabor that topic. When every person is moving to APC. So if the House of Representatives has the required number, the quorum, not even the quorum, the required number to pass a legislation, a political party, and then in the Senate, again, they have over 74 something senators out of 109. So do they need any other political party? So how would it be effective for any opposition to thrive in those areas? No, so I don't think the National Assembly is even worth bothering about. You can see that the Senate is an extension of the villa, because a bill will be brought in the next 24 hours. It is passed and returned to the villa. So these are not issues that one should have bother himself about.
Okay, let's switch gears from that. Now, how would you assess the Lokoja Federal High Court judgment, cancelling the registration of the Nigerian Democratic Congress after an application was brought to it by the peace movement, not a party because it's an association?
Yes.
How do you assess that case?
Well, to me, I believe that the judge was under pressure.
By who or from where?
From another quarters. I cannot really pinpoint, but my suspicion is by the government.
Federal, state?
Federal.
Okay.
By the federal government.
Why?
Because it is in continuation of their intimidation of political parties. Now, that judge registered that political party. It was not registered by INEC.
Yeah, it was the judge that said
it was that same judge that registered the political party.
December last year.
Yes. So when he registered that political party, the pressure on him was that, why did you register that party? This is an error. So he felt that since the matter has now been brought before him, clandestinely, this is an opportunity for him to correct the error he made. But the good thing is that INEC did not accept the judgment. So pontificating on the matter will amount to a waste of time, because I think INEC knows that as a judge, is responsible. He cannot quash a judgment which he delivered. Is functional official. He has already finished the job on that matter. Even if the matter came before him, he can't quash it. That matter ought to have gone to appeal. And so that pronouncement in itself was wrong, and that action was wrong. And so if INEC did not follow that judgment, it means clearly that the judgment is just an academic exercise, a waste of time.
Who do you think is the ultimate beneficiary of this judgment? Who is the ultimate beneficiary?
If the judgment had been accepted and implemented, of course, it is the ruling party. The ruling party is trying to destabilize and neutralize all political parties, so that at the end of the day, most of their candidates will just be, it's a walkover. They will be crowned, as a winner. So they will have their 2/3 majority in House of Reps, 2/3 majority in all state assemblies, so they can do to Nigeria whatever they like. But unfortunately, perhaps the INEC chairman being in the line of fire, because of his bias. This one his bias is open. Everybody knows. He's totally biased. He has to go if there has to be a credible election. Because he is, Nigerians don't have an INEC. What we have is an extension of Villa.
But is that not a contradiction, Alhaji? Because you just said here that thankfully INEC did not abide by the judgment of this Lokoja court.
Because they would have acted foolishly if they had abided by it.
Why? It's a court judgment.
It's a court judgment. This man is a son. He knows what will implicate him, and he knows what will not implicate him. But he receives instructions from the Villa. That judgment will implicate him. He knows that a court judgment that once delivered can never be tampered with except on appeal. He knows that. Functions of issue. Then a court now revisits its own judgment and says, okay, we have to go back from the beginning. He knows it can't work. That is not a measure of credibility. It's just a measure of common sense because he's in the line of fire. Everywhere, people are discussing him. He is not doing well. So he has to go. Yeah. So he has to show some measure of fairness in some areas, so that for his own
independence,
for his own survival, he has to show. He has been in the line of fire over his comments on APC. He has been so the Muslim Council has been after him. So many people, in fact, civil society are being against him, and so certain times he has to be careful. So that is not, a show of integrity. It is a show of trying to save one's face from the mountain pressures that he is getting.
So that's what you're trying to say, Alhaji, is that if he now goes against you, you people will not say, at least you will say he did the other one the other time.
Yeah, exactly.
But who is the primary target of this judgment from Lokoja? Who is the target, or what is it?
The major target, of course, is the presidential candidate of NDC, and of course, the vice presidential candidate. They are the primary targets, because what they are trying to do is to kill all political parties that have the capacity to field a candidate that will threaten the presidential seat. Take a look at PDP. PDP are hoping to field in Goodluck Jonathan. Now, Goodluck Jonathan has the capacity to upstage Tinubu in an election. Because he was there, people know him, he has the pedigree, and he has carved a niche for himself, in the political sphere. So the only way is they kill the PDP so that Jonathan will not come out. Again, they went to Accord Party because they want to win. They want to use judiciary to rig election. We went to Accord because of Adeleke, Osun State. That is the reason why they want to they register Accord, so that they can just win through judicial rigging. These are some of the issues that are bedeviling us within the society. So primary target is Mr. Peter Obi and Rabi Musa Kwankwaso. We all know that.
Okay. There are also people saying that this attempt, to stifle the democratic space, go after opposition parties, like you said, that are capable of, challenging seriously, in January, like this cancellation of the NDC registration, that all of this threatens, multi-party democracy. Is the judiciary, aiding and abetting this, or is it that they don't know what is going on, or they're just ruling by the law books?
No. Before I go to the judiciary, a one-time presidential candidate of the SDP came out on national...
ADP.
SDP.
SDP, yes, SDP.
SDP. Came out...
Who is that, sir?
He's a Yoruba man. I can't...
Adebayo Adewole.
I think so.
Adewole Adebayo, yes.
He came out to say they went for a breakfast.
Said it here.
Yeah? With Mr. President. And Mr. President told him when they said.
No, they were a delegation. And then the IPAC, it was an IPAC delegation. So the Dantale spoke.
And said you have to give a level playing field.
Exactly. Be a statesman and all of that.
He said they have made him angry.
Yes. You listen very well. Like he said, you have provoked me.
Yes. Why will I help you? Yes. Why will I help? When I was on the field doing my own, who helped me? You know, he will not provide any level playing field. You know, go and do your own. Let me. So that statement carries a lot of weight with it. If actually Mr. President made that statement, it carries a lot of weight.
Nobody has refuted or rebutted the statement.
No.
Nobody has done so. Nobody.
Yes. So it means that Mr. President has already prepared all the grounds for him to ensure that nobody challenges him. So the part of the preparation is the judiciary. I want you to ask me, we mentioned this here, and then we were able to get it. Atiku Abubakar said he challenged Obasanjo in court 11 times.
11 times.
And defeated him. President, Vice President defeating President 11 times. And he said, is it possible now? Have you seen any case where the federal government lost? Either an agent of the federal government or the Attorney General is pursuing that case, or have you seen anyone where they lost? Because it's not possible. They can never lose. Because the judiciary is in cahoot with them.
Do the opposition parties, do they stand any realistic chance in this present situation, this present milieu? Do they still stand any chance? You know, ADC, NDC, PRP, you know, just name it, all of them. Do they still stand any realistic chance next year?
You see, the good thing is Nigerians don't like APC.
But they keep winning. They won in Ekiti.
Yes, those are by-elections. They will win. Because the pressure is not much. They can all converge there and ensure that they win. Either by hook or by crook. They must win. But this is a general election that will be conducted across the country. If you put the whole of the Nigerian army on the road, and you put the whole of the Nigerian police on the road, how many are they? The Nigerian army is no more than 300,000. You know? And the Nigerian police is no more than 400,000. So if you put all them together, they are less than 1 million. If you bring the civil defense, they are not up to 200. They are not up to 200,000. The whole of the DSS, they have not yet reached 50,000. You understand? So if you put all the security agencies at play in a national election, they cannot effectively cover the whole ground. They can't cover the whole ground. So when 90 million voters are voting, less than 1 million people are safeguarding the votes, how can that vote be safeguarded? You can't. You know, so, but in this one, you know, you can put you can put 200,000 police.
That's in Ekiti.
In Ekiti State. And 2,000 or 3,000 army. And they will cover all the grounds. You know?
Intimidate everybody.
Intimidate everybody and then win the election. So that one is not, this off-cycle election, I believe it should be cancelled. They should all bring it back, yes, to the main election. Because the off-cycle election gives the ruling party the opportunity to rig and then begin to boast that we are very strong. After all, look at our exploits in Ekiti. No, there were no any exploits. The elections we all know were rigged, fully, you know. So there is no hope in terms of off-cycle elections. But in terms of the general election, that is why certain states escape the ruling party, because there is nothing they can do. No matter how much they want to do. it would have been an impossibility for APC to lose Lagos State, where the president comes out, if it was an off-cycle election. The president must win that place. But because there was nothing they could do, Peter Obi was able to defeat. Do you think it would have been possible for PDP, where Okowa comes from, in Delta, for PDP to lose Delta State? If it was just only the election there that the PDP would concentrate, it was not possible. But because it was a general election, there was no room for manipulation all the time. So, and the people's will, came to pass. We know that there are ways and means that they are doing because, an actor just recently came out to say that one of the, one of the aides of a government official, was able to bypass and get access to his, details, and the matter is now a subject of police investigation. However, that goes to show you that even the technology that we are hoping will work may end up, being rigged even before the election. The result will have been imputed, and waiting for just the election to start, then they will just, expose it, and then people will begin to look at IREV and see results ridiculous with what is happening within their community. So nobody is confident, that the INEC chairman is capable of conducting free, fair, and credible election. You can see, even from his demeanor and countenance, that he just came to fulfill all righteousness. This is an INEC chairman who granted an interview and said that they were going to review voters' register, that the voter register of 90 million is too much. This is not with any empirical evidence. He just used his own common sense to say that the thing is too much. There is no any scientific proof that anything was conducted to discover that there were fictitious names or things like that. No, because he wanted to reduce the number and give advantage to the government. That is one. No, but this is the same person made so many disputed claims on national television. Now, is this the type of person that you expect to conduct free and fair election?
Alhaji, we've said a lot of things, about government. Let's talk about even opposition political parties. But let's talk about civil society, pressure groups. Now I'm talking about the youth of Nigeria. They are in the majority. The demographic distribution of Nigeria tilts heavily, disproportionately heavily, in favor of the youth.
Yeah, the youth is about 60%.
Exactly. Are the youth playing to their advantage? Are they taking advantage of their numbers that they can determine who gets what in this country politically and insist and demand for good governance, for the right government during whatever elections? Do you see the youth of Nigeria doing this?
The problem we're having is that we have youths that have come up not even experiencing good governance. So they don't even know what is good governance. What they know is that you should give me data so that I will defend you. So every month you are given 20,000 to buy data and go into internet. Maybe they will buy a phone for you, buy data for you. This is what you should be saying in the internet. So most of them have not experienced good governance. Those people who were born, the Gen Z, who were born within this period, have only experienced one economic crisis or the other, one insecurity or the other, one corruption allegation or the other, heavy corruption allegation. So good governance has eluded them. So they have never seen it. And so because they have never seen any good governance, there is no way they can hold government to account. They don't even know how to hold government to account because the poverty situation in the country is very high. If we are the number one poverty destination in the whole world, we are overtaking India. Then tell me how somebody who is poor, who cannot eat 2 square meals in a day, even the 1 square meal that he's going to eat, it is scavenging. You know, those who will eat 2 square meals are people in a higher pedestal. But those are the lower rungs, who are the youths. They are fighting for their school fees. They are fighting for their, wares, what they can wear. They are fighting for. So basic needs in their life, they are fighting for it. So how will they be able to know that, if government provides excellent service, this thing will be easy for us to get? They will not. When somebody comes and a politician in the society say, okay, you come and take 50,000, they say, Osheu Baba, and then they begin to worship him. See the man where they give us 50,000, don't come. And the rest. That 50,000 may be once in a year. But at least he has gotten 50,000 to solve some of his immediate needs and things like that. So how can you expect them to now, hold government to account? But the inherent pressure of poverty has now opened their eyes. People have begun to see, and they have begun to listen to elders that this government is not working in their own interest, and so that there is a need for a change. And so APC, in fact, the general belief now is not about the Tinubu government. It is that since APC came, the fortunes of Nigeria has dwindled. And so there is the need for us to change, to have a new order.
Apart from the youth, of course, when I talk about youth, even youth organizations in the past, in our own days, National Association of Nigerian Students, how powerful it was. It was NANS that brought Showore, Bamidele, Aturu, even this Bamidele Okoyemi in the Senate. When Uniben together, 89, under SAP Riot and all of those, it was the student union. And then I could go on and on and on, But let's talk about Nigerian Labour Congress. What happened to Nigerian Labour Congress? What happened to NUPENG, to Pengasan, Nigerian Bar Association, Nigerian Medical Association? Alhaji, where has all this pressure group, civil society, very strong civil society organizations, where are they?
Well, they have evaporated. Since the time of Hassan Sumunu, who was fighting MPN at that time for basic minimum wage, who is incorruptible, Pascal Baffiao, those.
But even under Oshomole here in 1999, under Obasanjo, Oshomole, NLC, it was still very strong.
No, Oshomole was merely a talkative. He wasn't very strong. He was working for government in another way. He was working for government. You can see when he entered into politics, you can see his double speak. You can now clearly understand that. But the previous leaders,
of course, I know.
Yes,
of course.
The Pengasen and
yes. Peng under Frank
Kokori and the rest, they were very strong. And when they speak, government shakes. These are the type of...
The enemy under Bekoram Somkuti, MB under Alawa Kabashoron.
Exactly. We had strong, who are incorruptible. They work in the interest of the people.
Talking about opposition again, Alhaji, it will be remiss of me if I don't ask you, what's the current situation with the PDP? Which of the PDP, for instance, do you belong? Which one is fielding candidates, or is there no PDP fielding any?
Well, both sides have not been given any code by INEC.
But a certain Senator Nwogo Olaka in Rivers State won election to Senate by election.
No, that is a by-election. Now, a by-election is not a new election. New political parties who did not participate in the earlier election
did not participate.
Did not participate.
Oh, okay.
So it is the old political parties that contested that election where the person died.
So which one of the PDP participated in that? Which one does Senator Nwogo Olaka represent?
You see, if you take a look at that, in the Ekiti election, Oluede is our own side. He participated.
And recognized by INEC.
Yes. Again, the other one is Wike that put him there.
Is that not confusion?
Because it's a river state. No, it's not confusion. Because in the last one, anybody that is brought to INEC is bound to recognize as PDP because and that is a wicked state. So nobody.
Okay, so you didn't contest with him on that?
No, we didn't. No, we don't. We are not like that. We don't want to create unnecessary problem. Now, and because we are feeling the person that died, he was the one who brought him. So we gave him the leverage to bring this one again. So there is no cause for alarm.
So which of the PDP now? Do you have a presidential candidate?
Yes, we have.
Who?
Goodluck Jonathan.
But it's not. INEC has not accepted that.
No, INEC has not rejected that either. We have not.
But they've not given you the access code like they gave ADC. I just saw that ADC got access code.
They have not given either the Wiki faction or our own faction the code. Only 9 political parties were given access codes, and the PDP is not part of it.
Why?
Either way, because we have a pending case in court, which judgment will be delivered this July. Asking the court to interpret the judgment of the Supreme Court.
Which court is this now?
Is the Federal High Court.
Oh, so make everybody understand, Alhaji, make Nigerians understand. How are you asking the Federal High Court to interpret the decision of a Supreme Court? Is the Supreme Court decision not final?
It is final. Yes. What we are saying is, we are not saying that the Supreme Court did not deliver judgment. Yes. And we are not saying that the Supreme Court judgment is in contention. Yes. What we are saying is that INEC has refused to put the names of those the Supreme Court gave judgment on their portal. So we are saying, if INEC does not understand this judgment, please make it clear to them so that they will understand the judgment and do the right thing. That's just what we are saying.
And the judgment is coming up?
It's just this month. Yes. Before the middle of the month. It's coming because on the 30th of June, some issues some briefs were adopted. So on the 7th of July, he will give a ruling on those briefs. Then go ahead to hear the substantive matter and deliver judgment much later.
And you think all of this will be concluded without time, your party being caught up in time?
No, this is an interpretation issue. It's not like you are not entering a new case so that they will, whether witnesses or you are not filing a case under originating summons. No, this is just to interpret this and tell INEC this is what it means.
And the issue at stake is which of the two factions is the substantive NWC,
yes,
the authentic NWC?
Based on these judgments.
On these judgments.
That's all.
Okay. I know we talked about this scandal with Gbajabiamila and the rest, but let's remove that and try and be objective, Alhaji. What's your assessment of President Tinubu's performance 3 years now?
You see, performance can be measured based on certain indices. It must be holistic. Now, it is based on the information that is available that you can assess performance.
GDP has come down. They're giving a fund loan. They're constructing the largest single biggest project in Nigeria's history, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. They are doing Sokoto whatever road, another huge sum. They are doing all sorts of things. They are giving loans to students, like I said. Inflation has come down. The parity of stability of the naira to the dollar exchange rate, and so many things. The first lady said she's giving a lot of grants.
See, these are not indices.
What are they, Alhaji?
Yeah, these are things. There are things that I think there is one writer His name is Fekinwa. Is something like that.
Okay. Akinfenwa.
Yes, I read one of his articles. He said, we are tired of progress being made in speeches. You know, when you are the one assessing yourself and say GDP has to come down, this has done this, those ones are made in speeches. Has it, gone down to the people? No, it has not gone down. People cannot be complaining if GDP has come down. True GDP has come down. Again, when you say you have given NEL fund to students, let them publish the names of the people that they have given. You will discover that they are all fictitious. Maybe they are members of their family and things like that, that they have been given this loan. So, when you talk about projects like the Lagos-Calabar, what ought to have been done was an impact assessment of that job, an environmental impact assessment. Apart from the impact assessment, the environmental, what is the benefit of that road to Nigeria? That Lagos-Calabar coastal highway, what is its benefit to Nigeria? How will it impact in our economic life, in our political life, and in any aspect of our life? What is the impact? When you say you are talking about super highway that you just gave approval day before yesterday, super highway, it has been in the offing, but the Sokoto, it is from what do you call it? From is it Bariga? What's the name of this?
Okay, Badagry.
Badagry. Yes, from Badagri to Sokoto, yes. Super highway. You are making announcement now. These are for political purposes. You just want to make Nigerians happy. To say, okay, Sokoto people, they are expecting super highway that will come to them from Lagos. So you can just, one day, just wake up from sleep, use your car, drive straight to Lagos, no obstacle. These are all, time wasting. You can't deceive Nigerians at this point in time. Once you are unable to do anything in your first 3 years, there is nothing you can do again. The remaining 1 year is politicking. And so there is nothing that will come into effect. When you hear people saying that, when Wike came out to say that what he has done in FCT should be a yardstick for measuring the performance of Mr. President, I said, what has he done? He himself confessed that 80% of the projects that he's doing are projects started by some of his predecessors. So what is it that is new that he has done? Again, some of the lands, if the master plan of Abuja will be taken holistically and be examined, he has destroyed the master plan of Abuja because he is even giving out green areas. So instead of building Abuja, he has systematically destroyed Abuja. And because people are seeing roads that were not originated by him, he just completed them. And more so, Tinubu wanted him to perform. He is the only minister among all the ministers, that is out of the TSA, Treasury Single Account. Now, he can use money anyhow he wants. The rest ministers cannot use money the way they want. So you can't measure him and them, and say, okay, this minister, I'm not a fan of Festus Keyamo, but at least he has been able to do some things, good things, in the aviation industry. He has been, he has curtailed the incidences of, accidents. He has entered into several, bilateral air agreement, and so many other
refurbishments of some airports.
Yes, some airports and the rest. So one cannot say that, somebody like that has not performed completely.
Anyway, overall, Alhaji, give us a score.
Overall, to me, I will say that Mr. President has scored 30%.
30%?
Yes, 30%.
Okay, as we round up now, looking at 2027, projecting 2027 general elections, the presidential level, is there any scenario, in your opinion, is there any scenario where you think President Tinubu can still be defeated?
That is
with everything on ground.
And that is what he is trying to avoid. That is why every political party is in court. There is no political party that is not in court.
Entangled with one legal case?
Yes, entangled with one legal case or the other. So you are, instead of you focusing your concentration on removing him, you are focusing your energy on how to, be able to survive the court in the first instance before you come home and come and, address issues at home, then be able to defeat him. Again, he has been spending a lot of money, Nigerian money, in terms of dollars, to try to get the attention of America so that the United States will not be against him. Again, the European Union, although the European Union is trying to be, in fact, is neutral, they want credible election because they are major sponsors of INEC in the conduct of elections. They want credible election, and they are insisting on the credibility of the election, and they are insisting that the right thing must be done before they can sponsor election. So I think if Tinubu, because now everything revolves around him, he has made Nigeria to believe that there is nothing that can go on without him. So if he allows for free and fair election, escorting him to Bourdilon will not be a difficult task. I'll be part of the entourage, and then I will go and eat amala and bagiri in Lagos. Yes.
Alhaji Sani, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
It is my pleasure.
It's a nice place to anchor today. And I'm sure we'll do this again, as we count down to 2027 general elections.
Exactly.
Thank you for coming, Alhaji Sani.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.